a missing link where children, especially, why should young children move into that direction? Peer pressure could be another one.
So that they are both the police investigation and the prosecution, they should be on the same page and they should know the law, NDPS law by heart.
Though they know how to avoid police, how to avoid surveillance, they are very smart. And the kind of mechanism they use to hide these consignments, you will not believe. Only when you see, you will realize it's such a big problem.
And I think that the focus has to also be to bring in on board trained counselors.
As still date society takes it that way. Now being a women addict is even worse. And most of these women get into it because of the spouses who are also addicts.
There is some technicality with the acts. If the technicality, the act is corrected in a technical way, there are some loopholes in the act.
Hello viewers, welcome once again to another edition of Let's Talk, a presentation by the Shillong Times group. Today the topic that we have taken up is Meghalaya the new drug capital of the Northeast? Yes indeed, drug abuse has reached an alarming proportion in the state of Meghalaya, both in the rural and in the urban areas as well. The problem has intensified further with the state becoming a major transit point for drug trafficking and owing to its, of course, as we know, close proximity to the Golden Triangle. Now, it is estimated that out of the total population of 35 lakhs in the state, it is said that almost 10% of the population is into drugs. That is, about 3 lakhs of the population is into some kind of drug abuse, and this involves both children and women as well. Recently, the governor of Meghalaya, that is Chandrasekhar H. Vijayashankar, has also pointed his concern to this rising menace, and he said that drug abuse is slowly becoming a silent epidemic and it is threatening the future of the youth of the state. Now, despite all proactive mechanisms that are in place, be it the civic bodies, the law enforcing agencies, the other vigilantes, the community vigilantes, etc. But time and time again, we hear the interception of crores of worth of drugs that are being reported so often and so frequently. So today, the question that we ask is, what has really going on? What is going on in the state of Meghalaya? Are we really sitting on the top of a volcano, as has been told to us recently by the Minister of Social Welfare himself? Has the problem compounded with easy availability of drugs in the street corners, in localities, etc.? And with the rising cases of drug use, is there also another problem that is slowly cropping up? And that is a public health epidemic when we are talking about HIV, hepatitis B and even C, and also sexually transmitted diseases. And therefore, what is the kind of synergy that is required from all stakeholders to control this problem of drug abuse in the state of Meghalaya? And to discuss on this issue today, a very important issue, I'm being joined by a very esteemed panel here with me. To my left is Angela Rangad. She's an activist and Thma Rangli-Juki, that is Tur leader. Next to her is Kupar Synrem. He is the president of the Hynniewtrep Youth Council, or HYC, somebody this organization has been in the forefront, in fact, talking about this rising menace. We are also being joined by Vivekanand Singh Rathore, IPS, Superintendent of Police Anti-Narcotics Task Force, ANTF Meghalaya. We are also being joined by Dr. Rica Lamare. She is the co-founder and secretary of Manbha Foundation, a foundation that has been working for over 2 decades in this scenario of drug abuse or substance abuse. And next to her is Panchalli Bhattacharjee. She is an advocate, Meghalaya High Court, Defense Counsel for the NDPS cases as well. So as you can see, we have a very esteemed panel. So wherever you are watching us from, be with us to understand the crux of the problem and what are the solutions that our panelists have to offer us to really curb this problem that we are talking about today. So, a warm round of welcome to each one of our panel. Thank you so much for taking your time out. I would like to begin this topic right away, and I address the first question to Sir Rathore here. Sir, what according to you is the understanding you feel drug addicts has touched a whopping, 3 lakhs, from even an earlier, I think last year also it was 2.5. What really has caused such a major increase or rise?
As far as the state is concerned, what we are seeing is due to the unrest in neighboring countries like Myanmar as well as in Bangladesh, the pressure on law enforcement agencies has increased quite a bit in recent times, especially. And historically, we have seen the source of the narcotic drugs in Meghalaya mostly is from other northeastern states like Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, through Assam. So this increase in number of drug addicts is actually very alarming, despite a humongous effort undertaken by the state police in last 2-3 years,
Right.
in which the recoveries, as you told, worth crores of rupees have been done. Still, we feel that it's not sufficient. We further need to improve as far as supply is concerned. See, there are two aspects. One is demand, one is supply. Police can mostly control the supply side of drugs through our operations and all. As far as the demand is concerned, we are seeing a growing trend among the student community also. Students as young as studying in class 8th, 9th, they are now getting involved. And that has become alarming. Another aspect is the people from rural background and poor economic and social background. They are also involved in a lot of drug abuse cases. And it has another side effect. It is disturbing the law and order also. It is leading to rise in theft cases, burglary cases, which is quite common as is being reported often. So I feel together with supply control, we need to concentrate more on the demand side by imparting maybe better education, better
Okay.
awareness. So that's what
All
I
right.
feel.
Okay. We'll come back to you very soon again. I bring in Mr. Roy Kupar Synrem. Earlier, Shillong, when we take just the case of Shillong was a transit point. Today, it is a destination. So what, according to you, is your understanding? How did we come to this stage, really?
As far as during our experience in the last 6 months, when we started this activity to check drugs, we have met a lot of people, a lot of addicts, a lot of family members, and even a lot of so many suppliers. What we have been made to understand is that the supply of drug is a lucrative business.
Okay.
It's not that the people who are selling drugs, the supplier, the kingpins, it's not that they are addict themselves, but it's because the selling of these drugs give them huge profit. So they are engaged in this. What we have heard during the last few days is that there are people who are investing in the selling of drugs. There are some people who are investing lakhs of rupees or say thousands of rupees. They pick up some homeless boy, say in Bara Bazaar area. They give them, say, take this 3,000. You go and buy drugs and then you multiply whatever profit you get. You give me the principal as well as the profit. So that boy gets only 1 or 2 vials of drugs and then give it to them. So I think what has led to this is because of the unrest in Manipur. Is one of the reasons.
Okay.
See, Manipur as it is now, what they're doing is that the people from there, they are shifting to Shillong or to Meghalaya. That's a fact after the unrest in Manipur. So they're leaving their homes, they're leaving their jobs. What will they do when they come to Shillong? Maybe drugs is also one of the way for them to support their family or to earn. So I think that has led to this condition that we are in, because if you see the number of drug addicts in 1 year, they have increased 1 lakh. So it shows that there is something, there is a lot of money, and also an addict cannot just stay an addict. He has to become a seller one day.
Okay.
At the end of the day, he has to, he has to take drugs. So the family members can give him for 1 or 2 months or 3 months or a year maybe. Not all of them can afford to give them money. So in order to sustain that habit, he has to become a seller. And then the fear is that, with these, a seller now, 2 seller, 3 seller, then he has to go to schools to kids as young as 12 years, 13 years, give them 1, 2, or 3 vials for free, and then after that, if they become an addict, then they have to come and buy, and then they have to commit theft, commit burglary on that. So I think this is the problem that has led. It's a cycle. I mean, from one addict, it becomes a seller, and then he goes on and multiply the number of addicts.
Okay, so it is very, very concerning, very alarming indeed, and we are literally sitting on, I think, on a time bomb,
Yes.
literally. And if nothing is done now, I mean, it is a little late, but still, I think with all mechanisms in place, we can. I come to you, Angela. It is a social issue, isn't it? I mean, broken homes, single parenting, not enough attention, etc. What can you add more to that? Because it is a social issue. After all, somewhere there is a missing link where children, especially, why should young children move into that direction? Peer pressure could be another one.
Thank you so much, Moshmi, and also my regards to all the other panelists. I think you're right that the drug menace, as people call it, is not just a law and order issue. What you said, it's actually a public health issue. And the way that we are dealing with it, I think there's still plenty of gaps. And while people have quoted the fact that probably the availability has become easier because of what is happening in the neighborhood, I think it's also to do with other social realities that we as a community and a state are facing. It is a fact that we're doing very badly economically, right?
Okay.
And the youth are facing the brunt of this. I just want to quote the unemployment statistic. We have gone from 2.80% to 6.20.
Okay.
Now just think of a person who has gone through the grind of education, have made attempts to get a job, and are unable to secure a job. The frustration, the anger, the humiliation which they face is something perhaps that we are not thinking about as a community. And I can tell you this from experience also, because as you know, we are very closely associated with the hawkers. And many of the single women-headed households have actually also, stated the difficulty of having to deal with an addict in the family. And it's so sad because they look at the police as a source of help. So many times they would say that we take the addict to the police station and tell the police to lock them up because we don't know what else to do. But obviously that is not a solution. Police cannot do that. They cannot be holding a person, especially one who's 18 years and above. Neither can they take them to a rehab center without their consent because they are now adults. And it's a fact also that there are no institutions where especially the poor and those who are struggling economically can access to help those who are struggling with addiction.
Right. We will be coming, of course, to that. But that fact that you've just mentioned, because it is my personal experience. There was an old lady, elderly lady, who was selling, she's hawking. And I bought some ginger and stuffs from her. When I asked that, I was happy to buy from her, thinking that I gave her some amount of money. She said, no, Didi, like this entire money will be taken over by my son, who is a drug addict. And he will take away all the money. So this is my personal testimony that I myself heard it. So maybe to some extent, this is also right. Unemployment is an issue. I come to you, Rica Lamare. Isn't this a health challenge now also? Because, sexually transmitted diseases, the various, hepatitis C, B, etc. that we are talking about, are we also seeing an epidemic that because many of them are actually using the same syringe as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely, it is also a health problem,
Right.
because substance abuse as such, is a public health, as we said, a social, even a legal problem. So we should look at all aspects. And if you're looking at the health aspects, like now the most, I would say, dangerous, or that puts any addict in the greatest harm is the spread of these bloodborne diseases,
Right.
like HIV and hepatitis C, particularly, though hepatitis B also is quite common. And then also through injecting, the cases of overdose, which leads to death. And then, of course, various other problems like abscesses, and because they're using very unclean, unhygienic, equipment.
Right.
They're sharing these syringes among themselves. So this leads to the spread of these, and plus putting themselves at risky behaviors, not only in terms of injecting, but also in terms of unsafe sexual practices.
Exactly.
When they are intoxicated. So, having multiple sexual partners. So, as you know, these are some of the risk factors for getting because of transmission of HIV and STIs. See. Now, if you're looking at female addicts, we're talking about only here, stressing about males, but we should also look at female
large
addicts,
number
which
of
is,
women also.
again, there's a double discrimination in that sense, that because they are women, first and foremost, it is very difficult for them to come out for treatment, to say that I have this problem.
The stigma that is
being a drug
attached.
addict is already discriminatory and stigmatizing person as still date society takes it that way. Now being a woman addict is even worse. And most of these women get into it because of the spouses who are also addicts. And in other cases, as we know, like we are going to talk about single women, as Angela had said, single mothers, where like we also, our organization work with female sex workers, and many of them get into this because of this problem of not being able to support the families, and most of them migrate from outside, from within Shillong. So this is actually a major social issue, I would say.
Right.
So this leads to sex work and drug addiction, and then even sustaining themselves by selling drugs. We have seen so many, women
Cases,
now on the rise.
Yes.
So women, though we are a matrilineal society, still yet we have these problems, which are social problems, and they're all interconnected.
Absolutely.
So coming back to health issues, even women face other health problems, especially like I said, HIV, and then transmitting it to their kids. So it goes on. The ramifications is really
It's absolutely
deep.
huge
So
indeed.
we can't just look only into one aspect. Like we have to look at the different
Holistically,
aspects.
absolutely,
And we need,
right.
a holistic kind of approach to this drug problem.
Yeah.
It can't just be from one sector.
And I come to Panchalli because Panchalli, you have so many cases, right, of under the NDPS cases that you have. Tell us what has been your experience, because you told me a little while back, it is just not the poor or children. It is also the cases are also amongst, very, very rich families also, from established homes also, elderlies also.
Yes, right from elderly. It starts actually. What happens? It's on. You can say that it is not a solution. We are in a vicious circle. What happens? If a person is arrested, he goes to jail. He gets in contact with he gets in contact with other peddlers.
Okay.
They get new ideas that how to do the business. What are the more ideas they can access to, and jail. Previously, what happened is jail is a correction home, but nowadays jail became a source for them to come to know about what are the other source of business they can do. Then peddlers comes out from the jail, then they get new ideas, and they start doing businesses through new ideas. Now in school, what happens? The school is a first step where the child goes out of the parents' hand, parents' shelter, I mean to say. They explore the outside world, and they started first they get the first dose, which is free of cost, they get the first dose, they get a kick.
Okay.
This is something, okay, I can win the world. That type of kick comes. And when at the end of the day, when their energy goes down, then they feel that, oh, my initial the morning I had such kick, I need more kicks like this. Then they again go into they come out. Nowadays Rapido is available, very much easy access. They don't have to book cabs. Access the Rapido with one driver, go to the point, pick up the like the source person, from the source person they get, and they take it outside or they come back home. And lot of areas are there inside the premise. The police also cannot randomly come and catch, neither the other authorities can come and catch. So they get inside the home, they take the key, they take the doses, they feel good, and it continues.
So it's a cycle that
It
continues.
is a cycle, and it is not only with the with the poor, or not only we can say that this is limited to unemployment. No, very good homes where the parents are very educated, where the parents they are imparting educations also. Their children are also into the this.
Okay.
Getting
So
into
it
the
cuts across all social strata. My question now to Mr. Rathore is, how come there's so much of availability in street corners, anywhere, and how do these, these people, why the authorities are not actually going, why only after the peddlers, why not the kingpins? Because the supplies are somebody very big.
There are practical reasons to it. Number one, you see, where is the drug coming from in Shillong? If we talk about Shillong, only two major accesses are there. Either it will come from Silchar side or it will come from Guwahati. No third access. Mostly these two routes only. Now this NH6, on one day, thousands of vehicles ply.
Okay.
And it's such a small quantity. If a box is hidden somewhere in the vehicle, it is practically impossible to detect each and every consignment which is coming. So naturally, we'll concentrate on the bigger consignments because it needs a lot of time and resource to crack one case and get something out of a consignment. As far as the drug addicts are concerned in the city, like Madam told, a boy comes on Rapido, picks one or two vials and runs away. It becomes practically impossible for the local police to get hold of the guy. Even if we get hold of the guy, we'll maybe recover a few empty vials, maybe a syringe. Keeping a syringe is not an offense. Empty vial doesn't become any offense. So if powder is there, suppose a small quantity is there, even if I arrest him, next day he'll get bail. For sure. Because the law is like that.
No, I'm talking about the kingpins, the big suppliers.
So what happens? Most of the efforts of the local district police is invested in the local area.
Okay.
So they are into drug peddlers and addicts working in Shillong. Now once a case is registered, it needs a lot of meticulous investigation because these guys are habitual, they are doing it day and night. They know how to avoid police, how to avoid surveillance. They are very smart. And the kind of mechanism they use to hide these consignments, you will not believe. Only when you see, you will realize it's such a big problem.
To
They will
this
make
I
cavities.
Yeah.
They will hide inside tires, in the dashboard somewhere inside fitted a small piece. So it becomes, unless you have prior information that something is coming, it becomes practically very difficult to actually intercept.
To this, I'll add that what happens, there are lot of the cars, no, the small cars. There are a lot of spaces inside the cars where the headlight, the tail light, even with trucks, they create chambers inside the trucks through modified chambers to hide those things. A truck can carry up to 150 crore of
worth of drugs,
to any place.
Yeah.
So if police checks also, sometimes sometimes police they get caught. It is only on luck. Moreover, the court, now what happens, The court, the police needs some time to get test positive and then do necessary things, everything, the FSL, and then file charge sheet. So it takes around more than 3 months. But 90 days is max for a small quantity. It's bailable offense. For intermediate quantity is 60 days, and for commercial quantity is 180 days.
Okay.
So within 180 days, after 180 days, the court has to give. It is like default bail. Now, after implementation of this new act, yes, after 90 days also police can seek for custody to find out whether these people are
Okay.
things or not. So involved or not. So police will be like, yes, police has a bigger role, but without the help of the society, police cannot do anything.
Okay.
But,
Alright.
to
Yeah.
add to what
Yeah,
Mr.
tell us
Rathore-
about some of the loopholes, Ba, because
Yes.
I'm sure you're aware where it is going wrong. You
Yes.
know, there are a lot of loopholes here.
There are a lot.
Yeah.
I think, see, first and foremost, I think the important player in the whole game is the police department.
Mhm.
You were asking a question about the kingpins.
Right.
That woman that was arrested recently, she was arrested 5 times. And she is one of the main player in the drug business in Shillong.
Yeah.
Not only that, for us as a layman, I know around 20 to 30 drug dealers in Shillong who are big drug dealers. And I don't think the police doesn't have that information. They have the same information. If police can put, let's be clear.
Let's be
be
open
very
about it,
open. If police can put a person to follow leaders of NGO everywhere they go, say, I'm just saying, or the intelligence people, they always follow and they know where I go, what I'm doing. Why can't they do the same thing to these 20 to 30 people who are in Shillong?
Exactly.
I mean,
That is
that
also,
is
that is what I was also
they
talking
have.
about.
That's why they. I think the
In
police
fact,
are not. I think
So
they
in
are
fact,
not.
when I was beginning, I was talking about the frustration that our hawker friends feel, especially women whose sons and daughters are into addiction, right? And so for them, they're very puzzled that, we are on the street and we know. We can see and we can observe,
open.
especially
Nowadays it's
especially in
open.
Hynniewtrep area and PB. So they have their ears and they're to the ground and their eyes. And they said so many times we have gone to Sardar to inform that we actually know that what is happening.
Yeah.
When you see several people, in a group, it's very obvious what is happening, what transactions are happening there. But they say that when they go and complain, they say this is not the way to come and complain. They can't act on your complaint.
A
So-
lot of rules will be showed to
A
them.
lot of those things, I think,
Yeah.
are also
And,
stumbling blocks. And like this Pahari, the lady who has been arrested over years. So how is it that
And
evidence has not
time,
been
yes,
built
and
up?
she's getting away with it.
She's
Every
getting
time.
And
away
I'll
every
tell you
time.
again another very personal experience, because as you know, last year while I was 2 years ago while campaigning in those areas, it was actually really heartbreaking to walk into those areas in Jalupara, because seriously, every 10 households that I would go to, because we are visiting early in the morning, there would be a young adult totally wasted, and the mothers are just weeping. And nobody is actually helping us. And as a locality also, many of those women have tried to, form these vigilance groups. And when they know, they pass on the information. And hopefully they're waiting there for the person to be nabbed, but nothing happens. So they're like, we know for a fact also sometimes that after we pass on the information, police also, sometimes their hands are tied, because immediately phone calls are made by politicians, let's say it straight, and other big wigs, asking them to
be released.
go easy on
Easy.
whoever has been
So
nabbed.
that's what I want to ask
And,
you. Are your hands sometimes tied because of political pressure?
I'll respond to both the points raised by them. I'm not denying that it must have happened, might have happened. That
It is
you
happening,
informed
sir. It
Thana,
is
no
happening,
one took
yeah.
action.
Yeah.
Very much possible, no problems accepting that. As far as the question of putting people behind these drug peddlers, we are on it 24/7. It's not that we are not doing. But the main thing is what happens in law enforcement. Unless I recover something from the guy, I cannot book a case. That is the problem. I can't just pick someone saying that you are peddling drugs. Okay, unless I recover something from him, either from his own body or from something belonging to him, it is very difficult to justify in the court. The custody
No,
of the person.
that's what I'm saying. If you have people following those 20, 30 people, 30%, we know drug dealers who are using 5 to 6 mules to push the drugs. They put the drugs in their home only. In the morning at 7 or 8, they tell those people, come and take this. I mean, how come police will not see that?
Exactly. So do you
I'll
mean to
respond
say
to
that you
this.
lack manpower really in the police department?
No, we understand that you have to have
Yeah.
a legally tight case so that eventually when it gets to court.
let me respond. Let me respond. What happens? No, we cannot directly say the police. I am dealing with NDPS cases. We cannot directly say regarding the police. What happens? The police prepares the case. Okay, but until the person body search is made, you cannot arrest the person after the body search. If recovery is made, getting vials, getting syringe, you cannot.
No, we are speaking of, we are talking about the dealers.
we are talking where are the peddlers getting their drugs from?
Getting
Try to understand.
It was very interesting
You're
when this
talking about
lady
the
was
peddlers, right?
arrested.
Yeah, I'm
We are
talking
talking
about
about the drug users.
Yes.
We
No,
are talking
peddlers,
about those
no,
highest
kingpins.
Yes,
authorities.
I am
For
saying, I'm
supplying
coming.
to the peddlers.
I'm coming to
Yeah.
that. What happens? The kingpins, no, they are very smart. They will never ever keep anything within themselves. They
And
will
powerful also. You have to say that they are powerful also.
Correct.
They are
The
very
police has to be
important
smarter
people
than them.
of the society
powerful,
at high places.
Now
That's what
I'll
I'm saying,
say
man.
that.
The business of drugs
I'll
it's a
just-
very lucrative
I'll
business.
just-
You cannot deny the fact that maybe the people in the higher echelons of power are also involved.
It
That's
is an
all.
economic
Yeah.
business.
Yes.
Part of it.
Yeah.
I think some money is being used by some party
Yeah,
for some
powerful.
election. I don't
Exactly.
know.
And
I'll
that's
just come back.
precisely
Is your
why
hands therefore
nobody
tied
is doing
sometimes?
anything
I'll come
Yeah.
to that. I could not address. So she talked about, these kingpins, whoever they are, we don't know.
So you don't know who are the
There is-
kingpins in
There is
Shillong
no
also.
one name as such that this fellow is doing. It's a matter of investigation. In every case, there might be a different kingpin. We never know. It's a matter of investigation. I cannot make a general statement being a cop. But
That's what your hands are tied.
having
here,
served
actually.
in the
Yes.
state for last 11 years, let me tell you with a lot of authority, no one has made a phone call to me pressurizing me to release someone who is arrested for drug or something like that. No one. Personal experience, I can't talk about others, but personally I can tell you with a lot of conviction. No one has called me till date to release someone or be lenient to someone who is caught with drugs. When we get addicts, of course, we ourselves are lenient to them because we know they are actually suffering. They are not the main people, they are just consumers. So we have to take a passionate view towards them. Like you told ki they can't keep them at home. They want police to keep them in lockup. We can't keep them in lockup also. Even if we keep them, they will bang their heads on the grill and do something inside the lockup. It will be a bigger problem for me. So coming to that, ma'am, law enforcement as on date is mostly concentrating on the possession of drugs, right? Whatever cases you see, it's about possession. Possession is an offense. We are not concentrating on the consumption of drugs because we don't have enough expertise till now
Okay.
to check whether a person has actually consumed something in the morning or he is under the influence
we're
of
not
something.
talking
Because
about
they
consumption.
supply this,
Unless
that's why the
we-
demand
we
also has
do
gone
that.
up.
Yeah, we have to
There's
stop the
ample
supply. We have to
Yeah.
stop the supply so
Yeah.
that the demand will
Demand
go down.
goes down.
I mean, those people who are addict,
Yeah.
if the supply is totally stopped,
Yes.
then they have to go to rehab center. They have to go to detox
No,
center.
Madam, supply, it is next to impossible to actually do 100% supply cutoff. That is practically impossible.
No, so apparently the other issue is also because I had just visited Manipur during this conflict, and there's this huge talk about, poppy cultivation and about how that may be the reason for the conflict. So while talking to people around this issue, they were telling us that it's okay. You can talk about Golden Triangle, you can talk about this cross-border, bringing in of such things. But actually, today, the nature of drugs has changed, that you just need a little shack where you are able to produce. So perhaps even Shillong, it's not anymore just a transit point, or it's not being brought from somewhere, because certain types of drugs apparently that are being consumed now can the synthetic whatever chemical things can just be produced here. So maybe that also needs to be looked into.
No, let us come back to this lady again. As Ba also said, she is a repeated offender. How come she got away with it each time?
Ma'am, she
Who
was
is
arrested.
giving her the independence? She should have been in lockup for a long time ago.
That's all right, ma'am. She was arrested last
I mean,
week.
like her, there must be so many others
Yeah,
also.
yeah. She was arrested last week, right? I have gone through the records. There were 3 old cases against her.
Exactly.
She might have been picked up, but nothing would have been recovered, so she might have been released next day. That's a different matter. As far as case registration is concerned, this is her 4th case, right? Now, I am personally monitoring that investigation. In fact, today also I have monitored that investigation. We are going into now where is she buying her stuff from. So she has given us something like names and all. We are pursuing it because I have not served in this district earlier. I'm not aware about what has happened in last 10 years with this
No,
specific
is
lady.
there a go slow approach in this
There's
case?
no-
You know, we
Madam-
cannot afford that because this lady must have actually ruined so many homes, ruined so many
Of course,
youths
yes.
and children.
There's
Now-
just one more example. There's
Huh.
another lady, one more lady who is the kingpin in some other area. She was arrested last month, I think, from this NH6 while picking up drugs. She also is one of the habitual. She was arrested 2 or 3 times, but she gets bail.
Exactly.
Even now, also she is roaming free and then selling drugs in that locality. Not only in that locality, even in Police Bazaar, the drugs that are being
So
sold. in
how is
Police
she
Bazaar
managing to
sold.
get away?
That is a
That-
that is the
obviously
question that we have to
there
ask
is
the law
something going
enforcement.
on.
Moshe, let me answer.
Yeah.
The thing is that people thinks it's so means how come they are getting away? No, first you try to understand what the law is providing. You cannot keep a person in custody with intermediate quarantine more than 60 days. Police to get an FSL is not possible in Shillong. For FSL you have to go
What
to
is FSL?
FSL is forensic science.
Okay.
Forensic science, so test it. So once the drugs is recovered, that drugs is tested positive on it is a preliminary test. It is conducted, and thereafter it has to go for FSL, means forensic science.
Okay.
So after getting the forensic science lab report, then only police files charge sheet, which takes more than 60 days. So obviously, beyond 60 days for intermediate quantity, one cannot be kept in custody.
So do we
So
need therefore
that-
fast track courts in this case
This
to act as deterrent?
The special-
Recently, two people were
Yes.
Yeah.
The PIT NDPS
Yes.
comes. The PIT NDPS is what happens if it is a repeated offenders. You for
That
first
was
time
just for
offenders.
1 year.
yeah,
1 year.
Yeah, 1 year.
1 to 3 years.
No,
Yes.
it is detention
No,
continues.
these two people, they were put behind for just a year.
That is not
Yeah,
determined
but then
any
detention
case.
continues.
Yes.
If there is if what is the police report everything, then the detention might continue for
Okay.
another 1 year also. But for PIT NDPS, these are for PIT NDPS for repeated offenders. After apart from repeated offenders, those who are harboring
Okay.
substance, for harboring also this PIT NDPS can be attracted.
Okay.
Now, prove that what are the how to get into harboring, sometimes police investigates regarding the bank account transaction. That if any transaction is made through bank account, then also
Okay,
the
that's a
person
process we understand. That is
so
a
it
procedure
takes
that is followed.
it takes little bit time. So to reach up to that time, the 60 days time is very short for the police. So that is why the people means like the person who is arrested gets bail, temporary bail. But when again the court also the court releases the person, the accused person, on condition that she will not do the offense again. But it is hard, like she is a very like she wants to earn money or she wants to
Okay.
And that's
Okay.
related to what you said.
Yeah.
You know, personally, nobody may have called you, but perhaps lots of phone calls are happening with your subordinates or at the,
Lowest level
At the
Field
lower
level,
level,
station.
yes,
Where-
at the lower level.
because if they
Yeah.
were doing their their jobs. They will understand the movement of this person. They would know that the person is out on bail. So any suspicious movement and suspicious activity will immediately attract rearrest.
Right.
So why is that not happening? And in
how-
fact, this
yeah.
person is so slick. When you look at the press conference that the daughter gave, she said, no, nothing was found
On her body.
the person,
They
because they
use
know the
the
clauses of the law.
technicalities,
Yeah.
technicalities of the
So,
law.
come on, you're like, it's such a shame that they're outsmarting,
Even the
a whole
system. Exactly. Now let's come to some what the state is doing, because the state government has come up with this the dream
yeah. Yes.
project, where it has
Yes.
earmarked 50 crores, right? Dream project, drug reduction, elimination and action mission called Dream, earmarking in last year only 50 crore to eliminate substance abuse and make Meghalaya drug-free Meghalaya. Let's come to rehabilitation, because that is equally important. We are talking about the addicts also, right? We have, I think, 10 in total rehab centers. What do you have to say, Dr. Rica, about these rehab? Because we hear so many cases where the addicts are actually running away. What is wrong in these de-addiction centers also?
Yes. First of all, we have two less rehabilitation centers and other treatment centers, because each rehab center, as per the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment guidelines, you can keep up to 30 maximum for anybody who's doing it privately. Okay, and so you can imagine, and the minimum amount of stay is just for 3 months. So you have 30 addicts into 3 months, and in this 3 months, there's so many other addicts. So it's really not catering, and then again they are on a private basis, so they're charging more. And as you know, addiction is relapsing disease. So those who relapse again will go again and again. So really 10 is too less. So the last time when I was there, at the Dream Project, one of the things I just said was that why don't we have something like what we a state-run rehab center, where you can follow it like the model of Tihar jail, where they have 500 addicts at one time.
Okay.
And then if it's a state-run, so anybody can go there. Like as you've heard that families
No,
are
but 50
fed
crore
up
has
and
been earmarked. This is for what? What is
So,
the main?
exactly. I
How
really
is it
don't
going
know.
to
Ma'am, I
be
think to add
utilized?
to just on a lighter bit. See, what we understand, the policy of the government, whatever policy, document, mission, whatever it is, Dream, just like a name, I think it was launched in 2023 in the month of June. Now we have 1 year, more than 1 year. Nothing has been seen. So they're just dreaming. It's nothing. Just like its name, it's dreaming. So to inform you, today we have submitted a memorandum before the Chief Minister with 5 points, 5 demands. Firstly is the rehab center, the state-run rehab center. There is everything. I think that if you read the Dream policy, you'll see that it's a very good policy.
Comprehensive,
It's
very comprehensive.
But the
Yes.
problem with our state government is that most of these policies, they just remain in the shelf, not on the ground. So we have demand for a rehab center, state of the art. Fast track court, you will say.
Right, exactly.
There should be a fast track court and special public prosecutor to try the cases. As it is now, I think it is the name special court, but the same district and session judge is still presiding over. So we need a special court for that, so that cases can be fast track. And then PIT NDPS. When you say habitual offender, what do you mean? How do you define a habitual offender? For us, 2 times you are arrested, you are a habitual offender. You don't have to wait like that Pahari that you have to arrest her for the 4th or 5th time. When you say habitual, it means 2 times. That is, I understand. That's why we have made a demand that all those habitual offender, once they are arrested 2 times, they should be put under PIT NDPS. So that we try to to control the supply.
Absolutely,
And
it
then
should act as
we have
deterrent.
also made five demands today
Mhm.
before the government. So let's see what the government's done this year.
Okay.
And it's really unfortunate that actually, when you asked me the question initially about it being a social issue, the whole so-called focus about drug addiction is on the user more. It's not just the stigma,
Yes.
but actually even vigilante groups, local darbars, Sankanthegs, whoever, feel that they have to catch the user, beat them black and blue, and that will be a good lesson, and they will
yes.
not do that anymore
Again,
or whatever.
yeah.
Which it's not a deterrent. First of all, it's like it's a disease, right? You need help. But as everybody has emphasized, there is no state-run proper
Rehab center.
with long-term. You have to actually give counseling because there is no cured drug addict or alcoholic, right? They always say that they are recovering because at any point of time
They may
you can relapse into the habit. But the majority of centers that are there are private. They are so expensive. And 2 years ago, the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment conducted this study across the country about rehab centers because they provide funds. So, and to do a social audit. So we had visited several of these centers. And it's really sad because the amount of money that the ministry gives is not that much. And there are also guidelines about running these centers. So one of the guidelines is that they're not supposed to charge the people who come for help.
Yes.
Why? Because you don't want it to now turn into another lucrative business of running de-addiction centers and counseling centers. But obviously the amount that they give is so less, and some of these centers want to give better facilities like food and this and that, so they do charge. And I'll just tell you a story about this boy I met in one of these centers. And he told me this whole background of how he was there. And when I asked him, for how many years have you been here? He said, 3 years. So I said, do you know that you're not supposed to be in a center for more than a certain time? You're supposed to have got the help and moved on. And these centers are also supposed to have,
skill-based, yes,
so that when they move out, they can-
Psychosocial support.
Yeah.
So he was so young, and he told me his story. He actually is from Ribhoi. He is brought up by his grandmother, and they were farming. They were tomato farmers. Then in one of those, one year when, the hail destroyed all their crop, so then they reeled into this cycle of poverty. So finally the grandmother said, I think you should go to Shillong to look for work. So he got into a sumo, he came, and the first stop at the parking lot, Ribhoi parking lot, he said, I'll tell you, that is the hub. I reached there and people said, do you want work? And he said, yes. And so they said, you can be a parking attendant. But soon from being a parking attendant, he became a person who was soliciting users. And he said, it's such easy money because you're actually holding cash. And these are the places where it happens. And police know it also.
Absolutely, that is what, the knowledge is there with the police exactly where what is happening.
Yeah.
It is the earnestness and the sincerity to go after them, really. I mean, sir, I will disagree with you that you don't get the information. You know exactly where what is happening, right? I'm sorry to tell you this, but then we are talking about a solution here. We are laying it on the table so that, we need to...
So, Moshi, I just want to add to this. Like, our state government is also shameful. You're waiting for doles from the center, which are minuscule. You're not putting money where your mouth is. Now the 50 crores also, we're worried that where will this 50 crores go? Will it really go to an addict? Do you think addicts want to continue to be addicts and let their lives be like that? They need help. They want help, but the help is not forthcoming. So for instance, this boy, he said that I am actually afraid of leaving the center. Because when I leave, what do I do? Where do I go? And the kind of skill building that's happening also. He was so intelligent. The solutions are there. They will give us the solutions, So he said, actually, all these years, if I was just taught how to repair a mobile, I can go and open a mobile shop. I can't keep making Christmas cards and candles.
Right.
Those are the kind of activities that some of these social...
That's what I wanted to add to what Angela is saying, besides just the treatment, the treatment process itself is long. First from detoxification. And what I think, we can do even at detoxification level, these government hospitals like CHCs, PHCs, in the different districts can be trained, the doctors can be trained on detoxification processes. And, the people from that area can just come there and avail free services on detoxification. At least, that is the start of a treatment for them. And then the next stage is rehabilitation for those who can afford. Okay, and then we can also have things like drop-in centers where drop-in centers are there's no limit to the number of addicts that can come to access help.
Okay.
So in those drop-in centers, they can do counseling, they can do your detoxification, and very important is psychosocial help that we give them. Reintegration into society is very important.
Right.
Many addicts, believe me, relapse. Why?
Mm.
Because there is no reintegration into society. For example, different livelihood means. So different ways, trainings that they can get. Yes, we are trying from our end also, but I think the government needs to look into, like I said, a holistic approach, right?
Absolutely.
If that we
Because the
have
stigma attached to
you
it,
know-
because I've heard cases where actually tenants, the house owners have asked them to leave the house also, the tenants
Yes,
also.
we've got
Yeah.
many of those where, because of the addict, the family has been chased from one dong to another, from one dong to another, till the family gets fed up, and the addict then becomes homeless because the family say that because of you, we cannot,
Yes.
the rest of the family cannot suffer.
Yeah, and
But a
beating
very,
and physically harming an addict doesn't solve.
that's what
And
I
this
was
is
just
also, I
telling
mean, I think you
Manbha
should
also,
put in a good
this problem.
point here, Dr. Rica. Like, I think you should address this directly to our viewers who are watching this program. That physically harming, some families are frustrated, they don't know what else to do, but they're physically harming an addict, locking that child or, the youth into, and then beating up and
Yes, I
putting
think
grievous
many
injuries.
of the parents, out of frustration, and it's like I think even the society out of it's like a knee-jerk reaction when we all don't know now what to do. This has just come upon us, and it's such a big problem that the first thing, whatever comes to our mind, we feel that we should do it that way.
No,
But then
yeah.
what I mean is, like you said, all this criminalizing and then beating up, physical. Eventually, it's not going to reach to any point like as I just said, it is a disease, and
the addict will just be pushed into something much more drastic, right?
But
I
don't
mean, there are
know
so
if,
many
like,
cases of suicides.
When we were growing up in the 1980s, Shillong, not so much Meghalaya, actually faced a similar drug use crisis. Now, the difference between the 1980s, mid-1980s to 90s, and now is, as I said, the
Availability.
change in
Yes.
the nature of drugs that
Drugs,
are available, and also the spread is far wider.
Absolutely. In
I
the rural
remember
areas,
some
yeah.
Rangbashnongs from, Ribhoi, the smaller places, smaller markets in the other district towns. They are worried. They said that these activities, it's so obvious that they're happening during Singh. And also that there are people waiting outside schools in district towns and smaller villages. So I think that also is something.
I think
that
the police can easily keep some plain clothes. I mean, in civil clothing, police. Are you doing that? So what are your mechanisms really to check some of them, if you can just highlight?
You see, mostly the enforcement is in the hand of the district police, right? We at the state level, we can only tell them to do certain
Okay,
things.
so what are they doing?
As you told, putting people in civils, it is done, but it is not done on a daily basis. Maybe once in a while they do, but not on a regular basis. That is a fact. And second thing is another practical issues. I can't discuss all the issues here. The practical issues are, unless I get something recovered from the guy, I cannot even touch him. That is the main problem we have. We can't just pick up.
No, but why can't we have more, why can't we have more plain in civil dress policemen actually? Because this is a problem. It's a huge issue. It is not, because we're talking about the future generation, we are talking about the youth, the children. So it is a huge issue that the society is facing.
It is alarming.
Yeah.
It's alarming. That's why I think because it is alarming, the government came up with that policy, the green policy.
Right.
Had it not been so, I don't think we even need that. So I think the police has to work and
Is
pull
it
up
so
its sleeve.
difficult really?
If the government wants, I don't think it's difficult.
Yeah.
I think you can spend 50 crores. See what have they done till now in 1 year. They have only been holding meetings, workshops, or meeting with all the stakeholders, have a cup of tea with some sandwich, and then spend 20-30 lakhs in such meeting. You hold
And it
such
is going from
meeting.
this fund, is
Yeah,
it?
from this funds. That's what we heard, because we have not seen any rehab center or any proposal for a rehab
So
center
far,
till
okay.
now. Of course, in the dream it is written that there will be first year they'll build one rehab center in West Khas Hills or in Riboy, as per, but we have not seen that. Second year there'll be one rehab center in Garo Hills. Those are the vulnerable district, they said, as per the dream, but we have not seen that. So I think if the police department is saying that there is a shortage of power, the manpower,
Yeah.
then you could always ask the government. I mean, we have to do this. We have to fight this fight on a war footing. We cannot allow to be, take it
Because
for,
it has
for
spread
lightly. It has
beyond
spread.
Shillong
Yes.
to the rural areas.
Yes.
And our minister has also named those 7 districts where
Yes,
it has
7
spread.
districts,
That means
yeah.
enough information is there.
Mhm.
In even localities, he said
The
some,
hotspots.
yes, the hotspots has also been mentioned. So if we can have so much of information, certainly more can be done. We are just going in for a very short break now. And when we come back, we would like to look into the synergy that is required by all departments, by all, even from the community level, the Darbar Shnong level, because Maulai Darbar Shnong has come up, hand in hand with the government and is doing that. So we'll just go for a very short break. Viewers, don't go anywhere, because it's been quite interesting, this discussion so far. When we come back, our panelist will tell us the solutions, both short term as well as long term. Join us in a couple of minutes from now. Welcome back, dear viewers. You are in our show, Let's Talk, from the Shillong Times Group. And today we are talking about, is Meghalaya the new drug capital of the Northeast? Right. And so far, we have discussed, the supply side, which is, it seems more important, because as our panelist said, because there is supply, therefore there is the demand. So we need to stop the supply side first, then only the demand side will be stopped also. But now we are looking for solutions. As important members of civil society, where is the synergy? Let me start with you, Angela. How do we go about working together? The Maulai Town Darbar is the first traditional institution, in fact, who has openly offered support to the government. And recently the government has given them more money, in fact, and they are providing space for setting up rehabilitation centers. Right. So likewise, I think if all localities could come, and VDPs, village defense parties, etc., vigilantes, what are the ways we can do because it is from the community level also things has to work, not just the police, right?
I think that many people who I have interacted with from the Darbars have also expressed the fact that most times they are the ones, middle of the night, when there's a raid, it's mandatory for them to be there.
Present, yeah.
And then they have to be witness. And for years on end, they are going to depose in courts and giving statements. And they find this quite actually cumbersome.
Yes.
And true enough, because they don't have any other support. And so, okay, so one end of it is to actually try and assist the police looking at this whole issue as a, law and order and a crime. But the other aspect also is preventive, and also, for the users to actually create a supportive structure within the localities, within villages, within schools also. And I think that the focus has to also be to bring in on board trained counselors. Doctors who are doing the detox, it's like a scientific medical thing which has a time frame and it's done. But the struggle which say a user, faces is long drawn. And so there has to be a real concerted effort to build that community support. So not just now church groups, some of them run the de-addiction centers, but they have never been given, as I said, state government has never committed enough funds to them. Neither have they given them support in terms of training, And so these are the aspects that need to be
So
looked
apart
into.
from traditional bodies, even church bodies, because they are quite comprehensive here, they can also come forward. That means, right? Dr. Rica, I would like to also come to you. Where are we falling short? And you being a doctor, you are in the treatment, you run a foundation yourself, and so many addicts comes and take. So in your opinion, what is the way out really so that we deal with this menace as we are talking about? What kind of approach do we need to now adopt?
Yes, I think we have to look at it, in a multi-pronged manner. It's not just one answer to it. I think, like you said, communities. Actually, I was involved in the Meghalaya rehab camp there, and so the thing is that yes, communities like. We have done detoxification camps with communities, which can be done. Social welfare does give a certain amount of money for any organization who wants to do. So we have been doing this, with involving a particular community where you have the church members. We can have it like we've had it in these church halls, or in the Darbar hall. Where the families of these boys come and they provide the food. Like every community member takes part. If it's in the rural area also, they cook the food, they provide this, and then they have the VDP members to stay guard. So it's about a 2 weeks detoxification program, which is free. And so the medicines, everything is being given under the grant and participation of the community. So they have that sense of ownership, and the mothers are involved, the family members. So in this, we take the time not only to detox them, but also to have a family counseling and also counseling to the addicts. And then we follow up on them. After that.
Right.
So I think these things can be done. These are cost effective, involving families. So such treatments can be done.
Treatment could be free also?
Yes, they'll be free
that's
because this social
important.
welfare does provide the funding for it, and it's not very much. You could do it for about 90,000. And it's for 15 addicts for 15 days. And everything is there. The main cost would be the medicines and counselors and nurses.
Right.
But family adds to it, and also the community. So there's a community participation.
Right.
So this is one thing we can do at that level.
Exactly.
Then, like I was talking about, not only rehab centers. Yeah, rehab centers, we do require them. But if you're looking at cost-effective methods of treatment, we can look at drop-in centers. These are centers where, they have a small staff, but who can provide all the work. We have a doctor, we have a counselor, and we have outreach workers to go to the field. And in going to the field means you are also providing information to the addicts. You have peer educators who are from the
So should we have such drop-in kind of centers
that's
in
what
every
I was
locality?
proposing, that we should have at every district, drop-in centers, and the more dense population of addicts, like say in Shillong or in Juan, they should have more
numbers of them.
Yes, these drop-in centers. So that way government doesn't have to spend so much money, but they can get more centers.
So maybe this 50 crores that we have, maybe that can be utilized for this also.
Yes, I did speak up during the Dream Project, but I don't know whether I was given any, but
this was one of your
I just
suggestions.
want a clarification also from Dr. Rica, because you also, obviously the issue of drug addiction and the HIV cases in Meghalaya, it's all interrelated.
Yes,
And also, but then when you look at government failure, I remember, I think if I'm not mistaken, they have actually stopped that program of the drug replacement therapy that used to happen at the civil hospital.
Yes.
And this is being informed by certain moral considerations of why are you supplying, drugs to users or whatever, although there's a scientific basis to it,
Yes.
especially with regard to HIV.
Yeah.
So I think that
Actually, yeah, this is what we call, we have three aspects of drugs. Okay, we have the supply, the demand, and this is called as the harm reduction.
Mhm.
So this is the third way, which is, being practiced elsewhere all over the world, but we came in late in India. So in this harm reduction is basically the concept is that, if for people who are still using, for those who don't want to give up, you shouldn't give up on them also. At least what you can do is just provide us some services to reduce the harms.
Okay.
Like for HIV and your Hep C and all. So these services, the projects that we work in, these are from the NACO projects, National AIDS Control Organizations, where OST is oral substitution therapy is one of the medical procedures where, we give these addicts who are using heroin another safe drug. It is an opiate only, it's a buprenorphine, which we give them. And this is under a doctor's prescription. So they come and take the medicine every day, okay? And then they go, and for the next day, it lasts for 24 hours, they come again. So that way, how it helps is that it is a safe drug. They're not injecting it, it's oral, okay? And then they are able to, go about in their day-to-day activities, go to work, go to their
And this was what you
relationships.
raised, Angela. That was actually
is
a
an
demand
important
recently
thing.
that was brought, and they said it's going to be shifted far. And there were people who saying that it will be too far. Then there will be more people who will not be accessing that
You will
safe.
not.
And
Yeah.
even NACO,
I think
2
when
or
you-
3 years
Yeah.
ago.
I think we were the one who demanded the
Okay.
shifting of OST
Alright.
from civil hospital.
Okay.
It is not that we said shift it or stop giving them that OST. It's
Why do
just
you want
that
to
it's
shift
only
it?
the place.
Okay.
See what happened in civil hospital.
Huh.
We went that day. We
Hmm.
went for an inspection because we have got a lot of complaints. One is the theft case in civil hospital. Even the patient's belongings are being stolen. Secondly, is that they are selling openly inside, just outside the door of the OST center. When we went there, we got one of the I won't say a dealer. He's a pusher, but he got around 50 to 60 files. And he sold it to those people who are clients of the OST center. That's why we made a demand before the government that that place is not suitable for OST because
Okay.
one, it is a public place. There's a lot of theft over there, and secondly is that there are no security. There is no security of this hospital. There is no security from the police. So what these people are saying, in the name of OST being visiting OST, they are even dealing drugs over there,
Okay.
and they are stealing the belongings of the patients and the visitors.
But if it
of the
is shifted
hospital.
very far, won't it
No,
be
no.
even
What we are saying is that shift it to a more convenient place, not in that particular place. I don't know how many of you have visited. I think have you
Yes,
visited that
we
OST?
also
You have
an
seen
OST
the
center,
how
yeah.
how it is. There's one entrance. There's a public toilet over there. There's a morgue. So a lot of public are moving through that place. So we are saying that that place
It's
is not suitable.
Okay.
Shift it to
Actually,
another place. I think
to-
it is still running till
To
now.
add to
Yeah.
Bar's thing, like we also run an OST center in Manbha, we are a satellite OST center. We really have to be very, very vigilant. I'll tell you, even as an organization, working this around our offices, you will see the boys trying to sell. Okay, because why? These are boys who they've lost out on. The ones who come for services
Clients.
are their clients which they have lost out.
Yes.
So it's cutting
That's
costs.
why
So
they
do.
come.
But we are very vigilant about that. We make sure that who enters our compound.
That's why
who enters
This
our-
is a common
OST
problem
center
with
in
all
civil.
OST centers.
Okay.
That is see for you can keep watch over
Yes,
your
we
boys.
have to
But
monitor.
the OST center in civil, you have a doctor, a nurse inside. Outside, you don't even know what
No, so,
happens.
so, the,
That's
so
why.
the solution would have been to actually increase
Increase
security,
security or
yeah,
shift
give-
it to a
yes,
more
yes.
suitable place.
counsel the
Yeah.
people around there,
Yes.
keep people
Yeah,
to
Yes.
keep track
Yeah.
of who's
Yes.
coming and who's
Our,
Because
our,
sometimes
our
our
concern is only
solutions-
that.
yeah,
because
It's not
sometimes-
like you have to stop giving them
Okay,
OST.
yeah,
It's not
right.
that. So
No,
let that be clear because
With
it's
regards
not
to
that,
civil
yes.
hospital, actually this OST was actually rolled out only in organizations, but then they came out with this new rule that, that was several years ago, that we should have them in government institutes for better, in the sense they're able to cater to more people. So that was the idea why they put them in government hospitals,
Okay.
and one of them being, civil hospitals, the
hospital.
main hospitals.
Okay.
So this has come out. But then, of course, as I said, we have to be very vigilant because we face the same problems, whether it's VM or us. You know, in fact, even the Shnongs have chased us out because they said that you have these boys trapping. We have been chased, 3 officers. We finally got this one live crime, so we are being super vigilant so that we won't have any problems with,
Yeah.
Shnong.
Okay, so as we are almost wrapping up, I would like to come to you, Panchalli. So how can we achieve higher conviction? Because again, I think we need some kind of deterrence. That fear has to go. That if we do this, this is. I think most of the crimes that is happening, in fact, crimes against women also, is because our deterrence level is so poor, right? I mean, our conviction rates are so low, so painfully long, right? And by then, it really escalates much higher. So what are the joint efforts, therefore, according to you, that is required?
Ma'am, I think just for
Yeah.
that, she's a defense counsel, so
No, but still, she will have some kind
No,
of...
lighter side, I'm
yeah.
just saying, because she's a defense counsel,
Judiciary.
she won't want her clients to be convicted. That's what I'm saying.
Everybody has a right to defense anyway.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
now,
yes. But which are the mechanisms that should be in place holistically, as we are talking again and again, both your judiciary, the civic, the police, the vigilantes, the community, etc.
There is some technicality with the acts. If the technicality, the act is corrected in a technical way, there are some loopholes in the act.
What are those loopholes?
Some of the sections are there which has to be incorporated,
Okay.
which has to be like when police, what I see, when police arrest, they have to, according to the act, they have to abide by those rules. Once they skip any of the rules or any of the laws, any of the sections, they do not follow any of the so to say provisions of the act, then the court has to release the accused person, so the problem is that when filing a charge sheet, police, sometimes it so happens the witnesses who comes, they are not so properly, they have not witnessed what are the procedures followed. They have when they come before the court, the witnesses are shaky witnesses, and for which court has to say that yes, based on the evidences produced by the prosecution, these people can go out. Now the thing is that police has to get tight up the charge sheet very well. Sometimes we cannot say that the court are very lazy. No, if once the trial starts, there are very long process of taking up witnesses. Courts are each day the court can examine at least one witness of the, because both prosecution and defense also gets tired examining one witness. It takes at least 1 hour, 1.5 hours to 2 hours sometimes to take up witnesses. So both defense and the prosecution also gets tired taking up the witnesses. So one day one witness comes. So obviously if there are 15 witnesses, then if each month the cases are fixed on each monthly basis, then also it takes 15 months. So obviously it will get little.
That is what we are saying, the fast track course.
I think for us, for me, I think one is that there should be a specialized police team dealing only with the NDPS cases, and those police officers should be highly train all the procedure. And second thing, it is not only about investigation. The police has to follow up with the prosecution also. That's why you should have a special public prosecutor, so that they are both the police investigation and the prosecution, they should be on same page and they should know the law, NDPS law by heart.
Okay.
So then only we can get conviction. Other than that, I think in East Kashmir around 200 to 300 cases there. But then if you see the conviction rate, it's only 10 or 12 or 15. It is so tardy. So
in fact, that has been a long demand for us. And this emerged from our experience of working on crimes against women. Same thing. Heinous rapes, crimes against children. After lengthy trial, nothing happens. Why? Because obviously there has been a little bit of shoddy work from the investigation and police, but when at the level of prosecution. So we have always demanded that actually, for instance, out of this 50 crores, they should start having a directorate of prosecution. So you actually train your public prosecutors. You have trained public prosecutors for POCSO, for NDPS, for things like that, so that they not only know what the defense is going to throw up, they also can quote you cases and case laws which will help you win an argument in court. But now we know that public prosecutors just get changed, they don't appear, they don't even object to bails. I mean, that is a fact. So
Such lengthy procedure, it goes on and on.
They have,
And
they
we've
have
seen
actually
in
come
so
up with a
many
directorate of
cases.
prosecution.
Right.
They have actually come up and they have put up advertisement for
It's already
assistant public
notified.
prosecutor.
Only thing
So
is the
the
recruitment.
recruitment is going on right now. But then for us, I think, see, first, the police has to be trained. At the end of the day, the investigation has to be very tight.
Right.
So they have to know the law. That's what she said. That if you missed out on even a medical, technicality, the defense catch it up, and then when they catch it, then the court has to.
And most of these cases, actually, both sides know that a crime has been committed.
Yes.
And the acquittal happens on silly technicalities of law.
Just to
Because
add
which
to
is-
Madam what he said, very correct. In fact, Madam also has told very relevant things. There are specialized teams in the districts, which is called district ANTF, by the way. The post which I'm holding is created just 2 months back. It's a state level anti-narcotics. So government is serious about it. That is why they are now creating a separate vertical for NDPS cases. And in fact, I'm the first incumbent. So things will improve. But as of now, these district ANTF teams, as you rightly pointed out, they need to be trained. Rigorous training in enforcement of NDPS Act, because again, the point is because of small technical mistakes, one signature missing here, one signature missing there, one paper
These
not
loopholes,
there.
as we say,
These are
needs to be
exploited
curbed,
by
right?
By the
Yeah.
Table
defense.
defense like Madam.
Exactly. So
Anyway,
now,
it's
as we are wrapping up, because crime levels have also gone up, these small thefts. Somebody is getting mugged, somebody is getting, thieves, in localities. I've seen near where I work, all the grills are missing, right? So many things here. They are all we know who are doing that. Our government had given these beautiful grills in the pavements. All are gone. The drains were nicely covered with iron grills. Gone. And so at the locality level also, but I think we need, more VDPs to be very alert. The Rangba Shnong has to be, the Shnong level has to be also active, right?
Yes.
As we are concluding, what kind of future course of action also, because you are already in this, what kind of more vigilantes would you like to, so that we can actually find a complete solution?
For us, when we started this, it happened because of one particular incident. When you remember in Montran in April, May this year, you'll find that dustbin, big dustbin where people come and throw, and it remains there the whole day, the whole night. So what happened is that these drug addicts, they come and stay there the whole day and they inject it. Not inside, but taking shelter into it.
Okay.
So there are school children who pass by, they just look at them, then they see what they are doing. So because my personal experience, I was taking my son from school and I had to travel through Montran to go to my house. And then one day, it just because of the traffic, it stopped. And then my boy, my 5 or 6 years old, he just saw two person over there injecting drugs. Daylight. That was at 12 or 1 p.m. the day. And then he asked me, what are they doing? So see, for us, it hurt and it affected me. So we started this, go and chase these people from there. We don't want them to do it in public. And then after that, 6 months, 7 months have now passed. We are able to send around 140 youths to rehab center in Assam, in one of the rehab center, along with the family members. So I think, yes, it is true. It is not just us. We cannot do it alone. We need the cooperation, the police, the community as a whole. Recently, on 28th of last month, we had a meeting at National Darbar Hall where the Rangba Shnong of the localities from Shillong have attended even the Senglam Kumi, the Seng Samla, we have made an appeal to them that, see, you have to be vigilant. It's not that only in the Shillong, you have to take proactive steps.
Yeah,
You have to ask each household if they have any addict, what can we do?
Yeah.
How can we help?
Mm.
I mean, the Shillong has to take that responsibility also. And then at the end of the day, for us also, we'll do what we are continuing to do.
Right.
Of course, now if you go around Shillong, whenever they see HYC, they said, oh, they have come, the dealers run away. So at least we have contributed to the menace of selling in public a bit.
All right. And I think even at the school level, at the college and the school level, because, drugs are being done even by little children. Awareness programs, campaigns should be more, even at the family level. I think families, Dr. Rica, I think all of you will agree that even families need to pay attention more. It's a social issue, Angela. We're talking about families need to be involved in their children's life. Let us begin from the home, because at the end of the day, values begins from the home, right? If we give a little bit of attention and see what the child is doing, I think we should be able to, because it begins from that unit, and then the whole community, and then the police and everybody else gets involved. So if we can control our children right from there, be vigilant about their activities, I think if we can control it from that level, I think then we don't even have drug users at all. And of course, the supply side is a completely different story that needs to be taken care of by people like Mr. Rathore and his team and the police department also. Anyway, I would like to wrap up this. We could go on and on really, because this is such a huge topic that even over an hour we are discussing, it seems to be less. But I would like to thank each one of you for coming to the studios and discussing this very important topic today about Meghalaya being the capital of drugs. It is a question mark though. We don't want it to become though, and we want a clean state and a clean society at the end of the day. Thank you very much for all of our viewers who watched. Do leave your comments and your feedbacks also in the comment section. And until next time, when we come back with another topic from all of us here, it's goodbye.